As usual, we're your hosts. I'm Cody and the Jason.
What's up? As my
Uh,
voice cracks right in the middle of that. Oh my gosh. What's up?
Can't tell that he's a year old or anything.
Yeah, it's not like we're recording this on my birthday or something.
Puberty. Supposedly it goes away, but no. Voice always
Yep,
cracks.
it's finally kicking in after 10 years.
Finally.
Actually, wait, 10 years past the mark? Yeah, I'm 28. Dude, that's okay, no, okay, real quick. I had this epiphany while I was walking DJ's dog, Flynn.
Yeah.
On the walk, I was like, it is so crazy to think that a decade ago, the church did their age change and you and I were preparing to go on our missions.
Oh man, that was. Oh my gosh.
Like, I got
We're
an oh,
old.
yeah, I know. I had that, "Oh, I'm old" moment.
Oh man. Whew. Yeah,
Like,
that was 10 years ago.
how was a decade? Dude, we're coming up on is it this year that would be our 10-year high school reunion? Or would that be next it would be
It'd
next
be
year
it'd
because
be
it's
2023.
2023.
Yeah, this next year.
Holy smokes, man. Ugh, we're veterans.
Man, so I'm up here at college, and all these people, I'm just talking to the different classmates and such, and everyone is just talking about the different plans and talking about dating and all this stuff, and I'm just like, man, that was so long ago. And I'll talk to people and just I have a baby face, and so no one knows that I'm 10 years older than they are. And sure enough, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I have a wife and two kids," and they're like, "What? Well, how old are you?" "I'm 18." "Oh, you're young."
Okay, no, actually, I have the same experience just 'cause, I think way back in my ancestry, yeah, I do have Asian-esque genes, and they're slowly coming through.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I was at work, and so this girl was just like, "Oh, yeah, no, so how's that going?" It's like, "Yeah, just kinda got married." It's like, "Okay, how old are you?" I was just like, "Wait, I'm curious, how old do you think I am?" It's like, 20, 21." I was like, "I'm 27." She's like, "What?" Well, now I'm 28, but
Oh man.
and so then another guy coworker was like, I could see him in his mid-20s." I'm like, "Okay, he's got a good eye."
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun to be people to think that we're younger than we actually are.
Like, it's very weird. It's just like, I think when we were teenagers, like, "Oh, ew, we're not that young." As you get older, you're like, "Thank you."
I know, right?
I'm at the point where I'm like, "I got extra years now."
I remember when I was like the last month of my mission, I asked someone how old they thought I was, and they're like, "You look like you might be 18, like fresh out on your mission." I'm just like, "Sir, I'm 20. I'm going home tomorrow." Like, gosh dang it. Now I'm sitting there like, "You look like you're like 22." I'm just like, "Yes! My wife loves this."
You're like, "I'll take it."
She's gonna love it. I'm gonna be 50 and look like I'm 38.
Here's the crazy thing when it comes especially to Asian genes, is it, like, builds up, then as soon as you hit the 50, 60 mark, it all hits. It all hits at once.
It
Go
happens
from
with the blonde jeans too.
yes, go from like, "Oh, you look like 30," next day, "Oh my gosh, you're 80."
Yo,
Alright,
man.
so
Okay, sidetracked right now. My wife is playing Violet, and the ice gym is absolutely brutal. Wow.
oof. Alright, so let's go ahead and
Yes, let's dive in.
dive into the announcements here. So, yeah, this December 2nd, NaNoWriMo finished up a couple days ago, and unfortunately, I did not hit the 50K mark. I hit just shy of 43K,
So
which
close.
so close, but so let me explain to you kind of the situation is I was plugging hard. Honestly, I had days where I was writing 2,000 words a day.
Nice.
There I was just plugging along, plugging along, plugging along. Then cuz my entire goal for this is my novel I'm wanting to go into 3 parts.
Okay.
So this first part, I was wanting to do for the 50K.
Okay.
So that was my entire plan. Is I was hitting close to the end of this first part, and I'm like, oh shoot, I need to have stuff prepped and ready for the second part. Like I need to have a lot of those things figured out,
Yeah.
which I did not. So I it was very much like I was running, running, and running, and bam! Smacked into a writer's wall.
Oh, no.
So it was very much like I need to, and for me, as I went through, and then I also described this to my wife as I was writing this, is there are parts where I'm like, I towards the end, I felt like I had a lot of stuff figured out,
Okay.
but it was very much like I felt like I was duct taping foundation.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I know where I'm wanting to take it now. So I do need to go back to the beginning and lay some of those breadcrumbs that lead you to this point. And some of the characters I have that I threw in there and I started developing is like, I need to go back and develop them further back and start that development earlier.
Mhm.
So it just very much became like again, very much I felt like duct taping a house foundation. There are parts of it that are nails, smooth, polished, like seems like it's ready to go. And then the rest of it is like this duct tape whole like mess.
Yeah.
And when you just have that crazy messy foundation, you're just like, I don't know where to take it because I feel like if I try to go this way, I'm gonna have to rewrite it anyway. And I need to figure some of this other stuff out. Like, I didn't even come up with the actual antagonists. Like, I had the idea what the antagonist isn't doing, but I
Mhm.
haven't really come up with like their motives, their names, their who all is involved because it's very much it's like again, it's a shadow syndicate. It's a secret group that is
Okay.
like pulling the strings and kind of doing the puppet master. And actually, that's what this book is about. Is they're going to be going to a magic academy and they're going to try to uncover this mysterious group that is corrupting people. I didn't really come up with a name. I just knew that's what they were going to do.
Okay. Makes sense. And you can always go with ones like the Cabal or
Oh, I and at this point it's just like I figured all this out on the 30th.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's just like, okay, I got that figured out. So I got kind of the syndicates, like, and I'm calling it a syndicate right now.
Okay, yeah.
I have their entire motive, what their plan is, but now it's like, okay, I need to pick the members that are part of it, that are in the story at this point. What is their goal? What is it that they're doing? What is it that's driving them? So now it goes into each individual characters. And it's just very much like as you go through, you'll find because again, it is very much like a road. There are parts of it that you have an outline, you have a idea of like where you're trying to get to. Like for instance, Cody's currently in Rexburg, Idaho. I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like I know I want to get to Rexburg. I have a general idea what I need to do. I do need to go north. The main cities I'm going to hit would be Vegas, Salt Lake, and oh frick, what's the city just outside of Rexburg?
Idaho Falls?
IF, yeah, Idaho Falls.
Yeah, I have gonna pass through Pocatello first though.
Yeah.
Probably the
So
next
yeah,
major one.
Pocatello, Idaho Falls. So I know those key points, but now comes the actual journey. What road do you actually take? There are so many other roads that will lead you to that destination. Like there's at least 3 different roads that will lead you to Vegas from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then from there, or you could do another road and bypass Vegas altogether and go straight to Salt Lake. Like, there's a lot of just different paths you can take, and so it's really and you're forging these paths, by the way. It's not already a figured out route, it's you are quite literally plowing this as you go. And then as you get to those points, as you get closer to those destinations, you realize you're gonna have to go back and, well, lay some tar. You gotta polish it up, you gotta clean it up.
Mhm.
So that's very much what it is there's just so many things that you don't really realize that you need to figure out until you start writing. And honestly, there were days where I'm just like, I don't want to write. I'm not really in love with my story right now. Which is a problem coming from the author. So you need to then figure out, I was like, okay, how can I make this story interesting? How can I make this story good? And actually, the part of the story that I get tugged into was a part I was not planning on getting tugged into myself. Because this is where I think both me and you, we take different takes on stories.
Mhm.
Like me and you, I think we love the nitty gritty when it comes to some of the politicking.
Yes.
Whereas some people absolutely love the action, which don't get me wrong, I'm a good action fan, but I get lost in because it's easy to get lost track inside of the action.
Yeah. And especially if the action isn't done interesting, because action in and of itself, written, is not my favorite thing. If it's done
Correct.
in an interesting way, I am. So, like, there's a book series. I am. Oh my goodness, what is it called? I'm. It's. I don't think it's called Arcane, but it's something similar to that. I am. But in it, the main character, he's a thunder mage, like a lightning mage, and the way they do the magic and everything, it's very intricate, and it makes it very interesting to hear combat because just the way it does it. But other times I hear combat, and it's just kind of like, oh, let's just get it over with and get on to the rest of the story.
Exactly. And that's kind of my point in a lot of the books too, is just like for me, it's the political intrigue, it's the subtlety. It's like playing tack.
Yes, I love that. Do you know he actually made that into a game?
I did not.
It's
Oh
an
my
actual
gosh.
game. We're going to get it, and we're going to play it as a live
Yes.
stream.
Yes. Yes, we will. We will absolutely play it.
Oh man, it looks like so much fun. But keep going, keep going.
But no, that's and so for me, it's just like whereas don't get me wrong, there's this really isn't much of a spoiler. My story is there's Asen and then Vienna.
Okay.
Those are kind of like the two stories coinciding. Like I would equate it to Kaladin and Shallan,
No,
so
okay.
to so to speak, just so you get the idea of like it's two different perspective on what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I'm planning on these two meeting up eventually, and actually they are going to meet up in this first book because that's where other conflicts are going to happen.
Yeah.
But it provides two different perspective. Vienna is actually the empress of the country,
Okay.
whereas and then there's Asen, who is the son of a nobleman.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about Vienna, I get to dive more into the politicking, the ideas, and what she is doing to prepare.
Mhm.
Because how is an empress going to go to school without getting recognized?
Ooh, that sounds
That's
like fun.
yeah, that is her story. Is it's going to be her because she is given the mission that she's going to try to find basically the secret combination that's trying to overthrow the academy.
Mhm.
So she is being sent in undercover, and so she has to figure out how she's going to do this, which honestly makes some of the magic system I came up with a lot more interesting. Like when the one of the schools in magic is transmutation. So
Okay.
again, during the walk, I was like, okay, wait a minute. So in today's society, we have plastic surgery, which when it comes to transmutation, there's difference between transmutation and transfiguration.
Ooh, yeah.
Transfiguration is actually changing the body, whereas transmutation is changing an object.
Okay.
So, how would an empress feel about using magic to change her physical appearance?
That'd be
And
interesting.
and which honestly then because again, you get people here in the United States who are like no to plastic surgery at all, and some that they're half plastic.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, exactly. To which some of them are can actually then remove said plastic.
Fair enough.
But it's very much like, how would someone actually feel? And going from the Empress's point of view, where, sorry, she is quite literally setting the trends.
Oh.
Like, there is so much that. So, this is where her stuff gets interesting for me because I'm like, oh, yeah, how would that impact the society as a whole? How would this do that? How would this do that? And then I have Asen for, I'm saying more of like the fighting area.
Yeah.
For a lot more of like the action packed stuff. Some of the more I'm gonna say it is still interesting nonetheless, but for most of the first part, he's kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
Which and again, that conflict makes it a good story. So again, in every respect, it's like as I've gone through back and forth, I finally think I've tweaked and made Asen's story interesting, whereas Vienna's was already interesting for me to begin with, which I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Asen's story to be interesting to me and then have Vienna's story be okay, whatever. We need to use this as plot device to get going on.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens.
It really is. And for me, I'm just like, ooh. And then some of the other characters, sorry, excuse
You're
me.
good. Get some
And then some of
water.
the yeah, I got water right next to me. So yeah, some of the other characters and stuff along those lines, it just helps build it. And I feel like with Asen's story, I need to do a lot more characters on that side. And then Vienna's, I do need to do just a couple more characters
Mhm.
to really make it interesting.
Okay.
So for me, I think that's the one thing I really learned is that characters really help flush out a world.
They do.
And yeah, and I've been very much in the and again, you know me as a DM, I was always like, let's rush through the story. And I feel like I've done that and it's not the right way to do it.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been trying to apply with my own story.
Hmm.
I am much the same as what you're talking about. Is it's a slow burn. You know, I mean, it doesn't even have to necessarily be a slow burn. It's just take your time to develop the characters. Take your time with it. You don't need to rush through it. Um, so it's actually one of my biggest complaints with the um was it the
Storm.
Keen's Dark Tiding
Oh, okay.
book series. There are so many times where the author will jump to something in the future and then just kind of recap what happened,
Oh no.
and it's done in a way that works, but there's times I feel like it hinders character growth. There was two characters in there in the first book that got introduced that it was set up that they were going to end up together, and then there's like the conflict between the two, and then you don't hear about them for a book, and then the next book they're suddenly together, and
Hmm.
like you don't get any of that. I mean, you know kind of what happened, and then she does it in a way that works. Like, it really does. But as my biggest complaint is these books could have been so much longer and better, with so much more to it. But it was more like I'm just gonna cover the fun details, the fun stuff, and ignore the rest.
Yeah. Which and again, well, this is one thing that I really do love and appreciate with the King Killer Chronicles
Hmm.
is the fact that there are points where he does fast he does fast forward, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
Dang, sorry, I do have a bit of a sore throat, so
you're good. Like the theme that I thought was so cool and felt really good with King Killer, because I figure we can start transitioning into that if
yep,
that's all right.
let's let's just say we're transitioning into today's topic is I have read all of the first book of Name of the Wind, and I am almost done with the second book of Wise Man's Fear. So we can now I can divulge more of my thoughts, and that's what this entire episode is going to be us talking about King Killer Chronicles from what I like, what we dislike, some critiques, some theories, and all that fun stuff. So,
Easy.
Cody, go for it.
I
Go nuts.
Yeah, so the part that right before he leaves from the university, he was put on trial. This is something that gets brought up at the start of the first book. This is one of
Mhm.
the major things. He learns the language in a day. He goes through the court and he does all these things, and he gets to it and goes, "Other people have a better account. Let's skip over it."
Exactly. I love
It's
it.
like, "What?" And I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was such a great way to do it. And it was one of those things where if he had included it, it would have taken away from it.
Correct. Like, this is where and again, I loved even the way he explained it in the book in character.
Yeah,
Whereas Kavoth actually goes through just like, there are plenty of accounts. We do not need to go back over it. We do not need a third account.
yeah.
It's like, if you really want a detailed account, go to the church, go to the law office. They have it.
Exactly. Such
And
a
this
great way to do it.
yeah, and Chronicler is just like, no, I want to hear your account. And so Kavoth does something sly. He just goes, "Oh yeah," and as everybody's coming into the town, it's like, "Oh yeah, have you guys heard about Chronicler? We hear that instead of blood, he drinks ink." He like goes on and on and on about his stories. I
Yup.
was like, "They're gonna be at it for the rest of the month."
So great. No one knows how to put a freaking rumor will going like an edema roux.
More specifically, like Kavoth, like
Like
how
a both, yeah.
like, come on, the dude started 90% of the rumors about him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he even says the best rumors are the ones you start yourself.
Exactly.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Let's get into your thoughts on it though.
okay, first off, my thoughts on Name of the Wind as I take a drink of water. So, overall, Name of the Wind, it's really good. It really kind of helped build the world. Like, that first book really helped you be immersed in that world.
Mhm.
So, there's a lot of good things with that. And there's, again, some of it's a slow build. It's just towards the end of Name of the Wind when they are hunting, I'm going to say the dragon,
Yes,
the Dracus.
the Drakus.
There are points where I'm just like, I figured this out before Kavoth.
Yeah,
Where, again, some of the stuff was just so blatantly obvious.
yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna smack you. Like, quit being an idiot. Just.
Yeah. But I mean, how many times do we do that? Something so
Yeah.
blatantly obvious, but not to us.
Oh, dude. Honestly, watch us do a walkthrough of a video game, and
Exactly.
it's easy. Like, it's easy from us outside looking in to go, oh my gosh, come on, you should know better.
It's one of the reasons why Kavoth is one of my all-time favorite and least favorite characters. He is
Hmm.
way too relatable.
that 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 makes sense.
But yeah, so Name of the Wind, like you were saying, that the kind of end, it was more frustrating for you. It wasn't as great of an ending for you because you're used to
Well,
Sanderson.
the Sanderledge, where again, it wasn't that the ending wasn't satisfying. It was more just like the ending wasn't like a climactic, "Oh my gosh, what is it?" It wasn't anything like that. Even with Bass turning out to being a fae,
Mhm.
and oh, by the way, this is going to have spoilers. You probably should put that early.
Yes, there will be spoilers for a book that's been out for over 10 years.
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah.
one book that's been out for over 10, one that's been out for like 15. So,
Hmm. But nonetheless, and him just being like, "I want you to get Kavoth to go back to being Kavoth
mhm,
instead of him being Kote."
yes.
Like, it was very much like, I understand where you're wanting to go, I can understand your tactic, I understand it. Like, there is was very much more of a, "Huh, where is this going to go next?" kind of ending.
Hmm.
Instead of a Sanderlanche, it's like, "Oh my gosh, how can they rebuild?"
Yeah, that was the amazing thing with Sanderson's. I really did like is that it is the here's all these things and he just gives it to you.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the things I love about Rothfuss because this is my personal thing that I love. Rothfuss doesn't give you anything. He doesn't really give you any of the backstory directly and say this is what's going on. He gives you the clues and it's like you're an adult, figure it out yourself.
I'll say, and well, Sanderson does that to a degree. Like
Yes.
in every respect, every author does this to a degree.
Yes.
Is in fact for Sanderson, his entire writing style and things that he wants to do is he wants you to be able to figure it out. He wants to give you all the clues that the characters have so you could figure it out as well. He does it in a, I'm gonna say, in an easier way than Rothfuss does in
Yeah.
one respect. But when you begin really looking at the bigger picture, that's where Sanderson does it fantastic. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like with Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fears with the King Killer Chronicles, there is this bigger story that is going on. There is a war that is happening within the kingdom,
Hmm.
and I'm going to guess that's what clues we have. And actually, there's probably, and again, I'm not to this point, but I can kind of guess that there's another war going on in the Fae. Which
Okay.
is why Bass is really trying to get Kavoth back to being Kavoth, to being
Hmm.
back to this legend.
Okay.
That's it's still very much that. Whereas in Sanderson, his bigger story is across multiple worlds and multiple books.
Mhm.
Cause even just like, dude, I learned so much about like the Cosmere itself from listening to Lost Metal and just from everything I've been connecting over the dots of multiple books over multiple series.
Yeah.
So I would say that I would equate Sanderson more to like Marvel Cinematic. Whereas there are breadcrumbs throughout each of the books that will tie into the bigger story. And I'm saying early on Marvel, back when it was Iron Man 2, where they would drop little hints of like the Hulk, Thor, like stuff like that. That is definitely more like kind of Sanderson style, Sanderson's approach. Rothfuss is very much like, here is my entire world. Here is the history. Here is everything with it. And I want you to be able to figure out and really be immersed in this world.
Mhm.
Like, this is where it's like Sanderson, he's more trying to do bigger, but it's still very much kind of like surface level big.
Yeah.
Whereas Rothfuss is deep one world.
Yes.
Which again, and both are great, both are fantastic, both are entertaining. It's just again,
Sure.
it's very much it's just another ice cream flavor, as I described it to Cody when I finished Name of the Wind. Is
Yeah.
that the ending was still good nonetheless. It's just not the Sanderlanche that I'm used to. It's still a good ending, and it's still a great series. I say it's just again, they're two different ice cream flavors. There are some days where I would love vanilla, other days where I would love chocolate, other days where like Rocky Road.
You like
Like,
Rocky Road?
no, I really don't. I'm just
I
using
don't
it as an
either. Okay,
example.
good.
Cookie dough. How about that? Cookie dough instead of Rocky Road.
Tillamook Mudslide.
Mm, okay.
I love Mudslide. I love Tillamook. But anyways, keep going.
So, whereas now I'm definitely into Wiseman's Fear, and seriously, all those that hate on it, you can suck it,
It's such a
because
good book.
the first book really builds up the world. The second book, I'm like, I'm immersed. I'm in this world. I know what they're talking about. I feel like I'm actually at the academy. I know about tomes. I know about the stacks. I know what they're talking about. I know these roads. I feel like I know them.
Yeah.
And then the entire part of them hunting down the bandits during Kavoth chasing the wind,
Mhm.
to where they're sharing stories by the fire, and it's stories upon stories upon stories, which I absolutely love. The screw, the golden screw story.
It's so great.
Oh, I'm just like, oh, I love it. I love Tempe. I love these characters. It's just
Yes.
they're just so well done, and it's just so fantastic.
They are. Oh, man, I love those stories. I forgot about the golden screw. Oh, that's such a great story.
Like, oh my gosh, I love that story so much. I was dying laughing at work when I heard that.
Oh, man.
And
Okay,
I love how like, but what happens next? Like, that's the end of the
that's it.
story. And
The
then I find it
That's
super
cruel.
ironic.
Go ahead.
And I just find it super ironic that that's what it takes for Cabot to understand Elodin's words.
I know, right? Here's something that makes no sense whatsoever. A Loden makes sense. I understand him now. Yep, 100%.
Like,
Oh, man.
just the way all that built, and it's very much more. It made it. This book was a lot more fun.
It was.
Whereas there is the political intrigue of Kavoth going into the mayor, going, "Yeah, you're being poisoned,"
Yep.
to like him trying to help sway this woman, to him working politics, and it's one of those things that's just like, okay, I want Kavoth to gather more and more ammo for the jackasses.
Okay, I'm this is one of the first theories I'm gonna get into.
Okay.
So, I sent you the text about this, but do you remember the song, the kids song from the beginning?
Not at first. Like I for me, my big plan was like, okay, let me finish this book, then I'm gonna go back to the first book and re-listen to it.
You're good. So this is one that Kavoth hears when he's in town, when he's a kid. He hears two versions of it, and he talks about both of them. And this is all in the first book, so this is not spoilers.
Okay.
The first one hears is from a girl who's doing hopscotch, basically. And it's seven themes has Lady Lackless. Keeps them underneath her black dress. One a ring not for wearing, one a sharp word not for swearing. Right beside her husband's candle, there's a door without a handle. In a box, no lid or locks, Lackless keeps her husband's rocks. There's a secret she's been keeping. She's been dreaming and not sleeping. On a road that's not far traveling, Lackless likes her riddle raveling.
Huh, okay. I can kinda guess now what some of that is now.
Yeah, so here's the second version of it, which will give you more. It's a little bit more straight with it all. But so seven themes stand before the entrance to the lackless door. One of them a ring unworn, one a word that's forsworn, one a time that must be right, one a candle without light, one a son who brings the blood, one the door that holds the flood, one a thing tight held in keeping, then comes that which comes with sleeping.
Hmm. So, I'm gonna guess one of the theories is that the door at the university is the Lackless door.
I am It's a theory, but it's also said that the Lackless house has its own door.
Okay.
I am okay. I am, but here's the cool thing. Okay, Lady Lackless. So when it's talked about his mom, it's one of the few times his mom actually gets angry,
Mhm.
and she tells him, "Yes, I know you just
Oh.
realized. I'm gonna get
Yep,
there."
yep. Oh, I get it, I get it! Sh
Why would
sh
she be so angry? And then you hear the story of Maelwyn, Maelwyn Lackless, I believe it is,
Yeah,
about
Maylin.
her older sister who ran off
Yep,
with the Edema Rue.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, Kovoth is a
Okay,
Lackless.
yep, yep, yep. I'm
Now,
tracking it, I'm tracking it.
here's something more. You talked about those stories. Do you remember the story of Jax?
Sorry, Jax. The moon?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember what it said about him? He was luckless.
Luckless, yeah, which again, when Kavoth was doing his research, that's what he believed. Okay, so then that means the house is the infinite folding house or mansion.
I'm kind of. So, but the theory with it that ties in, Kovoth is a Lackless, which is descendants of Jax, who stole the moon and made it so it goes between the two realms.
Okay. So, and then again, that could be what's in the box that coat has.
That one I will get into later. That's going to be something. I'll wait till the end after you finish to go on to that one. But this was the first one. The theory is that Kovoth is a Lackless,
Mhm.
and that his the son who brings the blood. So he's going to bring the blood to the door that holds the flood. He's going to open, we assume, the four-plate door, like you're talking about
Yeah.
at the school.
Mhm.
And so yeah, but yeah, it's there's so much. Like
Oh, I
literally,
bet.
this is random things at the start of the story
Yeah.
that tie everything together. This
Mhm.
gave you an entire yeah, it's so much fun. Okay, keep going.
Oh, no, 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 just like when you're doing that Blacklist Mother got upset, I'm like, "Oh, oh, oh, oh! I get it!"
Okay,
That
so
Kavoth is a Blacklist, yeah.
I have another theory for you. Unless there's more
Okay.
you want to talk about.
Nope, this is where let's dive into the theories and let's see if I can figure them out.
Okay, who do you think Denna's patron is?
Honestly, who I believe Dennis patron is, I've been debating. I don't think it's one of the Chandrian, but I think it's one of the what are they called?
The Emir?
The Amir, yeah.
Okay.
That's my theory.
Okay.
I also
That's a good
slowly
theory.
believe that Denna could also be a fae
Oh.
because just because it's that's again my mind's eye. This is where it's a theory,
Mhm.
well founded or not. It's a theory.
Yeah.
Is that whenever she disappears, she is going back to the fae, and so her patron could be one of the fae.
Oh, I like that one. I actually have
So
not heard that theory before. I like that.
yeah, and again, this is one I came up with. Is just that every time she disappears, she's
Mhm.
going into the Fae to see her patron, who again, very unwillingly, so to speak, is giving her knowledge and everything like that. And then she comes back and which is why I think she also has the way with men she does, is because she could have a little bit of a Fae charm with her. Because even as Kavoth has been with Leorian,
Florian,
Florian. Yep, sorry. This is where I admit I am horrible with names.
you're good.
Florian.
Mhm.
That he's just like there's only been one other I could put on that same pedestal, and that is Denna.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm like, I slowly believe that there, even if Denna is not a Fae entirely, there's a bit of Fae in her
Okay.
because she attracts men to her so naturally,
Mhm.
as does the Fae.
Oh, I like that. That makes sense.
So therefore, her patron, that's where I'm just like, I'm thinking the patron maybe is not a fae and is more of the world itself.
Mhm.
That's why I'm like, could be one of the Amir,
Yeah.
because that makes most sense. Because if a Chandrian attacked, it wouldn't make sense for him to not be involved, so to speak.
Mhm.
So if he was one of the Amir, and that's why it makes sense why he would be so kind of cautious, so unwilling to be seen, unwilling to be heard, keep everything closely guarded. That's what makes sense to me.
That was my original theory with it as well. I don't know. It has not been
Okay.
said. There is one other theory, and sure you've guessed, but the big theory is that it is one of the Chandrian, specifically Cinder,
Mm.
and where a lot of this stems from. So, what is Kavo's nickname for her patron?
Oh, Lord Ash. Okay.
Master, yeah, so Master
That's
Ash.
Ash.
So he guessed three names before coming up with that. The first one, I don't remember what the three are, honestly, but the first one started with the letters FE. The second one, the middle letters was RU, and the last one ended in LE, or maybe each one started with that. But those ones combined together make Ferule or Ferula.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's a specific name for Cinder.
Okay. I'll say that I think that could be a good theory. Just for me, that again, this is where it could go flying in the face of it. Is because again, I thought Chandrine too. I was like, that would be an interesting twist. But what would be more interesting as a story, so to speak? That Cavell finds out that, "Oh, her patron is one of the Chandrian, I gotta kill it." And he's just like he already has hatred towards the patron for the way, they treat Denna.
Yep.
So how much more conflict would there be if it was an Amir instead? Kavoth wants to kill him, but he can't. He
Hmm.
shouldn't.
Ooh, I like
So
that. I
that's
agree.
why for me personally, I like the Amir theory versus the Chandrian theory.
Hmm.
Just because Chandrian, okay, that's like, okay, you know what? Alley oop it.
This actually leads me into the next theory that I I haven't really heard this one talked about too much, but it's that the Amir are actually the bad guys,
Mm,
and that not necessarily the Chandrian are good, but they're
they
not evil.
mm, which kind of paints a different light on the on the Rue here.
Oh, it does. But if you think about what he said, someone's parents are singing the entirely the wrong sort of song.
Hmm.
What if there's a reason they have to keep secret other than
But
whatever things?
mass genocide is generally frowned upon for good guys.
Generally, that's why I said they're not necessarily good, they're just not
Mhm.
necessarily evil.
True.
What if they're doing things for the right reason, such as preventing a much greater evil from escaping?
Mhm. Which, yeah, would be like, again, that would be interesting. It's just again, it's one of the theories that I don't really believe,
Yeah.
just because, my reasoning behind it is, if that was the case, then there would be a lot the story would be very different, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because you gotta look at the way one they basically executed all of Cavil's family.
Mhm.
Like, again, not necessarily good, but that act in itself, I would say, is pure evil.
Mhm.
And the way Cinder has always been described as a shroud of darkness, which Kavoth agrees.
Cinder was the crazy one. The Shroud of Darkness was the
Mhm,
leader of them. He has a coat of darkness. I
mhm.
am. What is his name? Who leads the Chandrian?
It starts with, like, a Z I
Hel-
can't Heliax.
Haliax. Yup. I am. What all stories from the past have you heard?
Let's see here. Again, I've heard Scarpy's story because, well, that's in the first book.
Yeah.
In the second book, only really other story that we hear about the Chandrian comes through Denna's song,
You
where
have heard your song. Okay.
yes, because that is before they go off and fight bandits. That's actually right before they go off and fight bandits because Kavoth and Denna get into a huge fight
Mhm.
because he strongly believes that, yeah, he keeps talking about the Chandrian are going to come, which Florian also agrees with, which is why
Mhm.
she's like, yeah, talk about the Chandrian again. I will kill you right where you stand and I will make it painful.
Yup. So
That's actually
here.
just where I left off.
Oh, nice. I so after talking about the song that Denna plays it, he tells I'm Chronicler that Chronicler would have heard it as a song of seven sorrows.
Hmm.
Why did the Chandrian let Denna sing the song, but kill Kavos' parents for singing it?
Interesting. Could be wrong. It could be or since that instead of it painting them in a grim light, it's painting them in a good light.
Hmm.
So for them, they're seeing it more as publicity instead. They're seeing it as good publicity.
But does that really matter to immortal beings who just want to destroy things?
Oh, look at the Democratic Party.
Take away immortality, and then you have that.
It depends on how you would describe immortality then, because the Democratic Party has been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah, it'll die. All
Eventually.
things will.
And eventually the changing could, which is why they're so scared of the Amir.
Hmm.
But no, again, it's an interesting theory. I just don't believe in it, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's not silly that I do either. It's just it's one that I've thought of and one that I've heard. Like I heard a little bit about it, and then I kind of branched off myself.
Okay.
I am. Let's see here. I'm trying to. I pulled up the top, so I just pulled up theories now, and so here's the top seven theories or
Okay.
seven fascinating theories. So I'm just gonna go through all of them, and then we can talk about whichever ones you want to. And
Okay.
so there's that. Bast is Felurian's son. Count Threp is trying to ruin Kavoth. Kavoth's mother is Natalia Lackless, with
Uh,
Madeline being his aunt. Brayden is Cinder, and Cinder is Dennis' patron. Kavoth's father is Eax, not Arladin. Ari is Princess Ariel, and Coat is actually Denna.
huh?
I had to read that last one. And I understand what they're saying with it, but it's definitely not true.
Yeah,
I
no, no, I'm just like, "No, no."
So the reasons that they give is one, doesn't have any of the power of Kavoth. Just none. I mean, everything they try and do fails. The second is that Denna has always been like down on herself, has a lot of self-esteem issues, and Kavoth's never had that. But Coat has that. Coat is very down on himself, has a lot of those issues, and so they use that as the reasoning for it.
Yeah,
I
no.
It might also have to do with the fact that he ended the world and caused a giant war, but hey,
I'd say, this was called character growth.
exactly.
We go because again, Kavoth is very prideful, he's very much sure of himself. So, an world-ending event causing a big giant war? Yeah, that'll humble a man.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what coat means?
No.
So, Master Kelvin, I was talking to Kavoth at one point when he's there, and he gives a saying in
Siaru?
Ciaru, that basically is that disaster comes in threes, or
Okay.
disasters come in threes, and let's see here. I'm going to pull up the phrasing for that real quick.
Alright.
Master Kelvin disasters come in threes. I think it was what it was. I want to get the actual CRO for it because it'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Okay, found it. So the phrase "expect disaster every 7 years." That's actually the phrase.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, I know that one.
Chanvan Eden Coat. Coat translates to disaster.
Okay.
Kote, which is how he spells it. Chanvan Eden Coat.
Interesting, okay.
So, and it was essentially a confirmed by Patrick Rothfuss. Um,
Okay.
so just kind of a cool thing. He literally changed his name to Disaster.
Yeah, that is cool, like
So yeah, I just like things like that.
mhm.
Did there is one more story. Do you remember the story of Telu?
Telu, yes, I remember the story of Telu.
So that one I think is going to play a much bigger picture in the third book.
Oh, I think so too.
Do you just love the story of Taylor though? Like it's such a cool
Dude,
story.
it is so good.
Oh
Like,
man,
good criminy. Like, honestly, I was like, I can see why there's a religion now.
yeah. Did you notice the parallel between the story of Telu and what happens in the end of book one, or towards the end of book one, in the village that he burns down?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
He gets the cross to fall on
Fall
the
onto the Dracus.
Dracus, killing it,
Yeah,
and it just ties it down a lot more with. And he himself fell, basically sacrificing himself, much as Telu did.
yeah.
Um, I have another theory. This one I've heard, and I think it's hilarious. I do not agree with it. I'm Who is the folk hero that everyone talks about?
Uh, besides Tamerlane?
Tamerlane. Tamerlane the
Tamerlane
Great.
the Great? Yeah.
Tamerlane the Great is actually Kavoth, and somehow his story got put into the past
Oh,
because everything that Tamerlane does, Kavoth does. Kavoth has done, basically, or will do, is the theory.
hmm.
And so it's actually just setting up. So whatever you hear the story of Tamerlane, Kavoth is actually the source of all of it.
Again, it's a fun theory, probably not
Yes.
accurate, just because, in one respect, it's a little too far fetched.
Yeah.
Just because, again, it's just a little too far fetched because that would require him knowing the name of time.
I mean, to be fair, he knows every other freaking name somehow.
Although I think although I love this part because I remember listening to it when once they take out the bandits and they get the chest,
Mhm.
and he's just like, "Oh yeah, like Tyrell the Great." He smacks the chest, says the word, and boom, it opens, and he
Yep.
does it. And everybody else is just dead quiet. He's like, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm rolling with it."
Yep. That's half of what Kvothe does, is he just does something dumb, it works, and he rolls with
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it. It's amazing.
Like
What did you
Kavoth
go ahead.
is a master of improv.
He is. I have to ask, what did you think of the actual application of Sigildry and sympathy in the battle?
Oh, when they're fighting the bandits?
Yes. What Kvothe does.
Okay, yeah, this is where again for me, books and action, I have a hard time following.
Okay.
But uh, from what I understood, is he wrote a sigil
Mhm.
onto the arrow, correct? And that's what caused the lightning. Or
Yes. So there's a few things he did.
yeah, I know
One
he
of
does the bowstrings,
Yeah. And
but that's
then
just
he
normal sympathy.
starts killing people. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was really dark and gruesome.
Yes, he made the connection with the dead corpse.
Yep. And yeah, that is the reason why malfeasance is so
Oh,
heavily frowned on, and
uh,
like I am punished.
yeah,
Why even just that little bit that he did to I am master
him.
I am him to master him, that little bit he did got him 3 lashes.
Oh, yeah.
It's because this is what is capable
Capable
of.
of, yeah. And imagine if he had a bonfire
Yeah,
or just a fire.
just a fire and it wasn't raining.
Yeah, a good fire.
How much more he could have done.
He could have single-handedly taken out that army.
Yeah, and it's absolutely incredible, those things. And then yeah, he calls down lightning
Mhm.
by d- doing linking it to the arrow.
Okay.
Um, just amazing to see what you can actually do with sympathy, because it's when he first talks about it, he talks about how he's disappointed with it because it's
Yeah.
not the magic, it's not naming, essentially.
It's not the big, grand, wondrous magic.
It's
It's
the
science.
rules and yeah, science. But look what he accomplishes with it.
Hey, man. Nu nuclear science is still a science.
Exactly.
Don't underestimate it.
um, I love it. I think it's so cool. Let's see here. What are some of
The first one with, Bass being the son of Felurian.
yes.
I have a way to stipulate it a little bit more
Okay.
because didn't in the beginning of the first book, it talks about Kavoth's age, how he's, like,
Yes.
over 100?
No, so Kavoth
Okay,
is like 30.
okay,
Like, or
and
he says that he seems like he's older, but he's actually like late 20s,
okay, okay,
maybe even
'cause,
early 20s.
okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I was gonna say I think it would be funnier if Bass was his son.
That's one of the theories.
Is that it's Florian's kid and it's from the time the part I just listened to.
Yep. Let's see here. Okay, so looking it up, everyone's just like, well, we don't actually know how old he is when he's at this point, but it references that he's most likely between like mid 20s.
Is that how he looks or
No, how old he actually is.
Okay, okay.
Um, yeah, it says that he looks like he's someone in his mid 20s, but he acts like he's a lot older, which he always has.
If anything, I'm curious why Bass calls him Reshi.
Do you remember what Reshi means?
I do not.
Oh,
Is
actually, I
it
don't think we know.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like that was my thing. It's just like I don't think they've covered it at this point. He keeps on calling him Reshi, but we've never gotten an explanation for what Reshi means.
Okay, so the reason it's one of the theories. the actual term reshi, because he uses a lot of things from real language and things like that. So
Mhm,
like lodestones are real things. Um,
mhm,
reshi is from the Jainist religion, meaning wise one or seer. But it's used
mm.
typically, um, yeah, basically a term for teacher.
Okay. Okay, so it's like, sensei.
Yeah.
Let's say, although in Japanese, sensei could refer to either teacher or doctor.
Okay.
Okay, very interesting, okay.
So yeah, that's what it's theorized as for that part. Um, there was. Oh, who do you think is the king that he ends up killing?
That's my own theory. Jackass.
Yes, we agree.
I think it's Ambrose. I highly, highly believe it's Ambrose because why else? Why else would we get into so much of the freaking feud between Kavoth and Ambrose? He is supposedly 12th in line, and the dude is freaking cunning. He has poisoned Kavoth. He has done malfeasance to Kavoth. He's done
Mhm.
so many things to Kavoth. What's to stop him from doing that to any of the other noble schlebs? In fact, that's probably what is occurring during Kavoth's time away. Is he is slowly picking off all those in line, so he is the one to be the successor.
So, fun fact, that's actually the leading theory with it all. So you know how Caval's ship got destroyed by pirates?
Yes.
Pirates also killed. I think it's before. I'm pretty sure it's before all this. If it's after, I apologize for any spoilers. But pirates are also the ones that killed the people just ahead of Jackass in line. So he moved from like 15th to 12th.
12th.
He's moving up in the line. Well, his parents are the one, like his family is the one that controls that area. So
Gotcha.
it's
Okay.
it's fairly certain that he's in league with the pirates to start killing people off, and so he can become king.
Yeah. So that's where again I could see it happening. Whereas again, everybody else is not able to do anything. Where Kavo's like, I don't give a crap. I'm a Rue. I'm not part of any kingdom, and he's gonna go and freaking bump off Jackass.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think he's gonna kill Jackass. Is Jackass?
Oh, and by the way, you should have gotten me into this before I started school.
Why?
Because I could have done one of my projects. I could have gotten a guitarist, and we could have actually done a good recording of Jackass Jackass.
Okay, to be fair, I have talked about this for years, or about a year.
True. Yeah, and I started school a year ago.
So if you had listened to me sooner,
Very true.
um, so if I play a video, will you be able to hear it?
Through here, maybe not. Because again, I've also heard like 2 or 3 different renditions of Jackass Jackass.
Yeah, I have my personal favorite one, which is the one I sent you, where he
Yeah,
is at the Aeolian.
the like, the LARP.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that one too. I like that one because it is a lot more jovial.
it is. There's a different one that's closer to that actually uses things from the book more.
Mhm.
Um, but that one is my personal favorite.
I think that one in my mind, has the right beat and right tempo
Yes.
to where you're able to go along with it a little bit easier, where it's definitely a lot more a tavern song.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try playing it.
It's a special performance. Oh, Jackass, royal ass, obedient as a dog. First to fail his only class of time that I was a hog. Jackass, royal ass, obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charm that I was a hog. Sing with it if you know it. only class of charm that rivals a hog. He wandered into class one day, the most that anyone had to pay. The Arcanum is here to stay, but they sent him on his way. Oh, Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Teeth of bread, the prayers prayed, he's just a shabby mule. If only he were useful, he could make a handy tool. Oh, Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charm that rivals a hog. Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. He could not turn a thing to gold, not much for looks, so he's been told for an ass to think he could be sold, but his reign's no one to hold. Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Nobody that in the world he found himself a perfect girl with teeth as white as shiny pearls. He'd take her for a whirl. Oh, Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Jack is royal, as obedient as a dog. The first to fail his only class of charms that rivals a hog. Right, everybody present, if you don't have one yet, just get a ribbon.
It's just so good. I Okay, let's see here. What are some other just cool things with the story? Because there's just so many things, and so many things I love. I
There are so many good takeaways from it. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
for me personally, I love and this is where, again, I started reworking on Mine Use and Panda's, like, combined world,
Hmm.
is because I would love for us to, like, do, like, a role play as, like, whether it be a D&D thing, whatever. Would love for us to do a role play with 3 of our characters, and we sit around and we talk around, like, a bonfire and tell some of the stories we've come up with.
That'd be fun.
And again, it's all part of this world, but since each one of us would like take a country or a section of the world, we would go through and tell the stories that make up the culture, make up the race or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and really just be able to have those campfire moments because honestly, I really feel like that's what a lot of fantasy nerds dream to do is to get a bunch of authors like imagine if you will for a minute a campfire with Sanderson, Tolkien, Rothfuss, and a lot of and then some other fantasy writers sitting around swapping stories.
I mean, that's called Comic Con.
Yes, that modern day, yes, it's called a Comic-Con panel.
Rothfuss and Sanderson have been on a panel together.
Oh, yeah, and actually, I believe, Sanderson and Martin have actually written some short stories together.
All three of them actually were on a panel together
Yeah.
for one of them. And it was really funny because the two of them both looked at Sanderson and just go, "Will you stop writing so fast?"
Oh, yeah, and for me personally, I love the one joke. It's just like, "There is a tale foretold that these 3 made a wager that every single time one of them finishes a book, they will shave."
Yup.
And Sanderson's always clean shaven,
Shaven, and they both have these long
long,
beards.
long Dumbledorian beards.
Oh, okay. I have to tell you the worst theory.
Okay,
This is the theory that broke my heart. You know how it talks about Kavoth slaying an angel?
yeah. Kiyosari.
The theory is that I am Simon.
No!
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be Simon, but I don't like that thought. I don't
I
like that
know.
thought.
Because if you think of all the characters other than Ari, because Ari, I'm pretty sure, is the princess that he
Princess.
saves from Sleeping Burrow Kings. Um,
Makes sense.
and that's in one of the other theories. Basically, a lot of stuff underneath the school is often talked about, and like through history stuff they found out that it's burrows, which are like the graves and such.
Mhm.
And so that's the thought, that because she lives in the under thing, that's all part of that. So I think she's the Princess Ariel that gets saved. And
Okay.
but of other than her, Simon is the most innocent of everyone in this story.
Well, to be
He,
honest, he's tried not to be innocent because he's tried to chase so many women, but anyway.
yes, but even in doing so, he is just that
He
lovable. He's just that lovable
you
guy.
love him.
And
You
just
just love him.
and it's so sad, so many things with him, and it's just I don't know. I really hope they don't. I
They
will be so mad if he kills him.
If Rothfuss just kills off Simmons, people will riot.
Oh, they better.
'Cause, nah, Simmons, like, honestly, what was their other friend?
Willem.
Willem, I love Willem too.
Oh man, Willem's so great.
And also okay, I love how, at least in the audiobook, they've given, like, those who speak Seattle, like, a Russian accent.
Yes.
I love it. So every single time Willem speaks, I'm like, "Haha, you mean in your country, we do it this way."
Exactly. I love it so much.
I was just like, props to, the
Nick Bodell.
narrator, Nick Podell, which and again, honestly, one series I hesitantly recommend, especially the audiobooks for, it's called The Land. It's a literature RPG.
Hmm.
Just because, no, seriously, you can tune out for an hour and not miss anything.
I
Because
will not watch it then, or I'll not listen to
because
it.
here's the thing though, here's the thing, it's like, if it's an actual book, I would say I recommend reading it because you can skip over this. Since it's a literature RPG, basically it's a book isekai
Mm.
where this dude gets transported into a video game. So seriously, for an hour, he will just rattle off stats like strength 36, constitution 24, da da da, and he will just keep rattling off.
Jeez.
Like it's just like you can just tune out and go, okay, I'm just driving. Okay, looks like he's done with the stats. It's been 30 minutes.
I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like as much as I'm interested
Like
because you said it was Nick Bodell who
Yeah,
voiced that
it's
one as
Nick
well.
Podell, like, he does a good job with it, it's just when it gets to those parts, like, you seriously I will pull up Audible and, like, begin fast forwarding.
Yeah,
Like, that's why I was like, if you can find the book, that might be better because you can go and ignore and go straight back to the story.
it's fair. I will see.
Because yeah, that's why I just like that's why I say I hesitantly recommend it. It's just like, don't get me wrong, there's some cool sound design, again, coming from audio engineer. That they do is like every time they level up, they will actually play trumpets. They will do sound effects. They will do that kind of stuff to really make it a full production.
Mhm. That's cool.
But but yeah, but then again, when it's just like, all right, you reach level 3 in oh, what is it? Oh crap, it's not agriculture, herb lore. You
Mhm.
reach, yeah, level 30 in herb lore. You gain a bonus stats to this. You buy this much. You have a 23% chance of finding this. You have a 24% doing that. You have 15% chance of seriously, it is that on and on and on and on. I'm just like, just shut up. And for me, I'm so far in the book, I'm just like, I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, just like, I want to know how this ends. It is a necessary evil I will trudge through. Because again, Nick Podell does a great job in narrating, and honestly, I love him in doing the King Killer Chronicles. Like, it works very well,
Yes.
which is why I've actually now seen like there is artwork for the third book.
Yes, there is.
Uh,
There's so many things. So many things.
There are so many good things, and honestly, this is where
You
it's
should.
exciting now.
Good.
Because honestly, book one, I was having to push myself through it.
Yeah.
I was having to push myself through book 1, book 2, coming across a little bit easier. I'm like, "Okay, you know what? I'm now intrigued." There are points where it's fast forward and other parts where I feel like it glazes over a little too much because I feel like he's trying to cover a lot of ground very quickly.
Okay.
Like, in one respect, we really don't need to know more about, the king courting Lady Lackless other than it's working.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, I'm excited because that's probably gonna be the end of this book.
Oh, just wait.
I'm expecting it's gonna be good. But, for me, it's just, like, the actual courting process, Kavo sitting in the room, him being bored out of his mind. Okay, yeah, let's gloss over that.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, "I wanna know more about the journey. I wanna know about him fighting pirates." Like, that's just more entertaining.
Yeah. But that's kind of the fun thing is he's deciding what to share. So there's a
Exactly.
reason that he's deciding to share this. And that's the thing
Mhm.
I've learned with Patrick Rothfuss. Nothing that he puts in there is filler.
Like, actually, for me, honestly, I like the way he summarized it. He's just like, "You know what? Originally, it was gonna be, like, what, a 5-day journey?"
Yeah.
It's like, I was expecting to be bored sitting on a boat for a few days, just playing with my loot, really nothing to do. I could not have been more wrong. There was a pirate attack. There are points where I thought I was going to die. Lost all the money I had. So, I wasn't bored.
Yeah. And that's all he says about it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I would
Eh,
love, like, a little novella, like a side story of Kavoth's pirate attack and that kind of journey, but that's not important.
mhm. So, once you finish this, there is another book that you have to read or listen to.
Mhm.
It's called The Slow Regard of Silent Things. It's a
I
novella.
I think I've seen it on Audible.
It's all from Ari's perspective,
Mhm. I've heard
and
that.
it brings into things from the Lackless rhyme.
Okay,
So I actually haven't listened to it yet. I just have heard a lot about it.
okay.
I haven't had access to it.
It's me and Dawn Shard.
Yep.
Which, actually, I held Dawn Shard the other day while I was at work.
Oh, nice.
Although, I just gotta say, I love my discount at Barnes& and Noble.
I
Oh,
bet. I'm so
it's so
jealous.
good. Like, okay, so, real quick, we'll cover this and then we'll close it out.
Yes.
So, with books, have you heard of, like, what's called MM? Like, MM books?
No.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you've seen this if you've gone to Barnes& and Noble. So you got, like, the bigger book of just, like, of Name of the Wind, where it's very nice, it looks very good, very well spaced out, and then you have that almost, like, pocketbook size.
Okay.
That pocketbook size is called MM because the paper they print it on is very disposable. Actually, what Barnes& and Noble has to do if that becomes damaged is quite literally they throw the book and burn it because it is cheaper to burn it than try to repair it.
Oh.
Like, they are so cheap and so flimsy.
Hmm.
I say I'm pretty sure what so I say this because I wanna plant this idea because 'cause I'm gonna do it to Stormlight, is get some of the M&M books. They are $10 a pop,
Nice.
and honestly, I would say use it to begin, like, highlighting theories, like, if there's a certain passage, like, for instance, Kavoth is tied to the Lackless. What you could literally do is you could tear those pages out in this MM book,
Hmm.
highlight those sections, and put it on, like, a piece of paper or a binder or slowly build, like, this kinda thing. I
Makes
wanted to do
sense.
that with Stormlight.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'd have to. Just to tie
Becau
in between all the different series and everything, all
Oh,
those crossovers.
dude. Oh, yeah, no, just for me, there's, like okay, so in part 2 of Wave Kings, the start of all the chapters for the second part is a letter Hoyd has written to the I wanna say the 17th Shard.
Okay.
So, this is my general theory on what's going on because, again, as you get into, like the Stormlight Archives, Lost Metal, all the other books. There is a bigger story happening that is connecting all the worlds together, and it connects through Shadesmar.
Okay.
So a lot of times when they go into Shadesmar, pay attention
Makes sense.
because there are two. I'm gonna say there are two factions that are kind of battling each other. One faction is the Ghost Bloods.
Hmm.
The other faction, I'm gonna call them. I believe they're called like the 17th Shard.
Okay.
But these two factions are kind of butting heads. And you know who's in the middle of all of it?
Paladin.
Hoyd.
Of course.
Hoyd plays both sides. He
Not
will work with the
surprised.
Ghost Bloods. He will work with the 17th Shard. I believe he's technically affiliated with the 17th Shard, but he will still work with the Ghost Bloods.
And of course, everyone's willing to work with Hoyt because nobody knows who he is.
Exactly. Like, dude, Hoyd, I love Hoyd. Hoyd is the best part. Anyway, we'll cover that in a Stormlight Theory episode.
Yes.
As we have very well covered, I think, some King Killer Chronicles theories. And as I finish book 2, we'll probably get into more theories and all that fun jazz.
Yes, we will. I think for now it's a good time to put the book back on the shelf and pick it up another time.
Yep, the bookmark has been fixed for now. We will catch you guys next time.